Hey guys, thanks for joining me. And if you like what you see, please subscribe.
Hello, peoples. Welcome to Sharp Ends. So I did a best budget knife of the year so far edition earlier in the spring. And since then, some more knives have come out, and some people have told me about some other knives as well. And I'm going to continue that theme. And so this will be the second of 3 installments of what is the best budget knife so far. I did a poll on my community page and I asked people, what do you think a budget knife is? And majority of people voted for $50 or below. A couple of people for $60 or below. I'm kind of the mind it should be 60 or below, but I think I'm going to go with what the community said and say, all right, $50 or below is a true budget knife. Maybe there's another category that's 50 to 100 that we can add later. But if we're going to say less than $50, then a couple of these knives have to go. One of them is the Mini Keen. Mini Keen is co-designed between Caviso and Ray Laconico and is a great knife. And in fact, Ray Laconico has 2 knives on this table, the other one being the Echo. But if we're going to get rid of this guy, I think it comes in around $60. Then that's a shame, but it's understandable. It's 14C 28N. It's a great knife, Mini Keen. I've already done a review for it. By the way, there's links to all these knives down below in the comments. Next, I should just mention that this version of the pyrite with the steel handles is actually more than $50. It's $54. But there are pyrites with G10 and other skins that are cheaper than $50. So I'm going to keep it on the table with the proviso that this specific model is just slightly more expensive. And then talking about $60 knives, we're going to go ahead and have to get rid of the Echo because this is a $60 knife. Yeah, and this is also made by Ray Laconico. So Ray Laconico had 2 knives, which were $60 this year that came out that are good. Now, this one was in my last best of video, and it did not come in first. So it's okay that it's not in this so far. So we're just going to stick that up here, right up here. So there's a little reminder. Those are Ray's knives. Sorry, Ray. Next, so that brings us down to these knives. All these knives are less than $50. Let's go ahead and rank them in order. We basically have the slashcan, which is, no, I guess we have these 2 guys, the Moral and the Moral and the Morgorol and Centurion are both $49. So coming in underneath that $50 mark. And then we have the slashcan, which is like 47, I believe. And then we have the pyrite, which is low as 49. And then we have the Sencut Serene, which is 47. So this is technically the cheapest one out of these 5, which I think are one of these is the best one. So first, let's go from worst to best as far as I see it so far. I would say the worst is the slashcan. I actually gave this kind of a negative review. It has some features that are not really nice. It has a nice hollow grind, and a nice choke up point too. The ergos aren't that great, but they're fine. It's a great knife steel. I think this is 14C28N, which is an awesome knife steel. The access to the liner lock leaves something to be desired. The action of as far as where the thumb studs are, I don't like that too much. I think the geometry is a little funky. Yeah, so I would say that this is a good knife. It's not a great knife, and I don't think it should be in the running. So this is the Sencut slashcan. So I'm going to put that to the side. Next on this, as far as what I think is probably the pyrite. Honestly, I know that this knife is getting a lot of really good reviews, and for good reason. It is a good knife. It's a good design. You can thumb flick it really easily, finger flick it. The button lock works really well. It feels good in the hand, and this blade shape is a utility knife. Is really cool. They have a lot of different variation on this right now. They just did a big Kickstarter where you could get like ones in 90 CV, which is pretty darn cool because 90 CV is an awesome steel. But in my mind, I think that the other knives are just slightly better. So I'm going to put that here. This is where it gets tricky, and I'm not sure. I think, okay, so then I think that the next one would have to be the Migron Morall. Great knife. I actually like this. I like the access to the liner lock is great. Nice action, drops shut really nicely. Peel ply, very nice. Full back spacer with 2 inserts, titanium milled clip. Just a great knife. 14C28N, a screaming good deal. Great action. Yeah, it's slab construction. I love this knife. However, I think the next 2 knives are slightly better. One of them is the Sencut Serene, and the last time I did my review of best knives so far, this one won. The aluminum handle makes this really light. Action is incredible. Another button lock. Very thin behind the edge, 14C. Very nice full tang knife. I've used this extensively now, that's why it's a little dirty, but I've used it a lot. And the way that the tab works, I did a full review of this, so I'm not going to do a full review right now. But I like this knife. This knife is great. It's super light. Action is great. It's a full-size knife too. Unlike some of these other knives like the pyrite, which is more like a medium knife. My hands are big. This fits me really well. And then finally, I think so far the best knife of the year that's in the budget category, I think has to be this, and it's a relatively new knife that I just got, and it's a Centurion, and it's a Migron again, and it's 14C. Phenomenal action, has this kind of harpoon feel to it. No jimping here, but I like a thumb ramp, which is great. Action is great. Again, milled clip. And then the G10 on this is textured and rounded and scalloped. You've got the milled titanium clip, fits in the hand really nicely, just feels awesome. It's definitely heavier than the Sencut Serene. They're both, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know which one of these knives is going to be the best one of the year. But what I will say is that I'm going to hard use them for the rest of the year and figure that out. Also, this slab construction, but look, this has this really cool, like jimping almost put into this back. Really good detail. And things like this too. Like, do you see back here? There is a little corner cut out right here and here, right where you push button, right? So this slab, these pieces of steel aren't sharp, but they went ahead and took off just a little smidge there. So when you push button it, your finger lands on there. That's just like a really small detail that makes it really nice. Now, I will say that taking this apart and doing the maintenance video on this, you'll see that the pivot has, it's basically a barrel in the middle, and you have a screw that goes in one side, and then this is actually a locking screw as well. That made it hard to take apart and put back together again because this locking screw has to go into the G10. If you're not careful, it's very easy to strip out the G10 and get it to not lock anymore, especially since it doesn't have a screw head. So that's a little iffy, and this is definitely easier to take apart and maintain compared to that. So ups and downs for everything, right? There's links for all of this down the bottom. Thanks so much. I'm going to be doing another giveaway and very soon for my Patreon members. Thank you to you guys. Thank you for the support. Couldn't do it without you. I have very few Patreon members right now, so if you want to get in now, now's a good time to perhaps win a knife. And when I get to 1,000 subscribers, which I think is like about 22 subscribers away as I speak, as soon as I do that, I'm going to be giving away an expensive knife. So you guys should subscribe and or become a Patreon member. Thank you so much for everything, and I'll see you guys next time on Sharp Ends. Bye-bye now.